All right, now, when we have this spiky shapes ready, it's time to create our explosion clouds. I'll start with the frame number 2. First, let's figure out what will be the color of our explosion. Since we want it to resemble fire, let's pick this orange color for the base. Then, creating a new layer inside the frame 2 inches group and switching to the brush tool. Increasing the brush size like so. Good. Next, I'm making a few clicks on top of the spiky shape, covering the central area here. Using different brush sizes to make the cloud look more detailed. Okay, I think that's enough. Let's add a new layer inside the same group and proceed with the highlights. Picking the brighter orange color, almost yellow, and covering the inner part of the cloud pretty much the same way as we did for the toxic gas explosion. Try to stay inside the cloud boundaries. A few last details. Great. The cloud starts to look cartoony, but that's still not enough. It looks a bit flat to me. So let's add another layer of highlights. Adding a new layer. And picking an even brighter yellow color. Then drawing a few little spots here and there. And of course, constantly changing the brush size. A couple of tiny dots. All right, this will do. Let's make a small adjustment to the size of the cloud. It looks too big for me. Make sure to select all of the cloud layers to resize them all together. Moving into the center. Yeah, that's better. Once you're happy with how the cloud looks, turn off the background visibility and press Ctrl plus Shift plus Alt plus E to merge these layers into a separate one, renaming it to Frame 2. Awesome! The second frame is ready now. On the frame number 3, the explosion will start having a much more substantial presence. The clouds had become much bigger and heavier. To achieve this effect, let's pick another shade of orange, a darker one. Good. Creating a new layer inside the Frame 3 inches group and selecting the brush tool again. Then fill in the central part with the circles like this. Feel free to experiment with the brush sizes and add as many details as you like. Moving the cloud a bit to fit the frame in a better way. Great. Once the base shape is done, let's create a new layer for the highlights. Picking an orange color that's a bit brighter and covering the inner part of the cloud, same as we did with the previous frame. I'm leaving quite a lot of space at the bottom of the cloud to make it look thick and heavy. As for the upper part, I'm leaving very little space there. Okay, I think it works. Let's proceed to the next round of highlights. Picking a yellow color, I'm creating a new layer. Then, starting to draw a few smaller clouds on top of the brighter orange highlight, I'm trying to randomize them as much as I can to make the frame look interesting. A few last touches. Looks pretty good to me. Now I'm picking an even brighter yellow for another layer of highlights. Creating a new layer and drawing a few tiny clouds inside of these small ones. Let's draw one here. then here, and so on. Almost each and every cloud should have a highlight. And last one here. Awesome. This frame already looks nice, but I'd like to add a last layer of highlights here. Switching to the bright yellow that we've used for the spiky shapes, creating a new layer and starting to click on top of the previous highlights. Yes, now the clouds really start to shine. A few last touches here at the top. Fantastic! Finally, the frame looks complete to me. Disabling the background for a moment. Well, before merging these layers, let's make the cloud look a bit smaller, like so. Then merging the visible layers into a new one, calling it frame 3. Excellent. Moving on to the next frame. On the frame number 4, the cloud will split into multiple smaller ones. The cloud parts will start flying away, leaving just a small one in the center of the explosion. I'm selecting the dark orange color that we've used as a base for the previous frame, creating a new layer. And start drawing the central piece first. Adding some details to it. Yes, this should be enough. Drawing the cloud on the left here. Then proceed to the one down here. The one on the right. A few more details for the clouds at the bottom. Then drawing a piece at the top. And lastly, adding another one in the middle here. Let's add a few smaller particles to make the frame look richer. A couple of particles here between these larger pieces. Okay, adjusting the position of the clouds so that they fit the frame better. Yes, that's good. Actually, I don't like how this particular piece looks. It feels too big and puts the composition out of balance. Let's remove it using the eraser tool. And draw a new smaller one like this. Excellent. Now it's time for the highlights. Same as on the previous frame, we'll draw multiple layers of highlights here as well, picking a lighter orange from the previous frame. Creating a new layer and start filling the clouds with circles. Keep in mind to leave more space at the bottom than at the top of each cloud. The process will be exactly the same as on the previous frame, so I'll speed up the video to save you some time. All right, I think the frame looks pretty awesome, so I'll disable the background visibility and merge the layers into a separate one, renaming it accordingly. Great! That brings us to the end of this lecture. We'll draw the rest of the frames in the next one. So see you there.